My name is Ayo, and I'm from a small village nestled in the heart of Africa, where the nights are as alive as the days. Our village is surrounded by dense forests and hills, and life here has always been simple, guided by the rhythms of the land and the seasons. But there's one thing that makes our village unlike any other: the moon. In our village, the moon doesn't just shine, it sings. Every full moon, as the night deepens, a soft melody begins to flow through the air. It's not like any song you've ever heard. No words, no instruments, just a hauntingly beautiful tune that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The elders say it's the voice of the moon itself, a gift from the spirits to bless our village. But there's a rule, and it's one that every child in the village grows up hearing: never follow the song. The elders are strict about it, and so are the parents. They say the song is meant to be listened to from afar like a distant blessing. Anyone who tries to follow it is said to lose their way. Some even say their soul. When I was 14, my cousin Kemi and I decided we were brave enough to break the rule. Kemi was just a year older than me, but she always acted like she knew everything. She was the one who convinced me to sneak out that night. Ayo, she said, with that mischievous glint in her eye. We've been hearing this song all our lives. Don't you want to know where it comes from? What if it's something amazing? At first I hesitated. The thought of angering the spirits, or worse, our parents, made my stomach churn. But Kemi had a way of convincing me to do things I knew I shouldn't. What's the worst that could happen? She said. We'll just take a quick look and come back. No one will even know. The night we chose was perfect. The sky was clear, the moon was full and bright, and the melody started like it always did. Soft and sweet, like a lullaby. We waited until everyone was asleep, then slipped out of our hut and into the night. The village was quiet except for the sound of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl. As we made our way toward the edge of the village, the song grew louder, more enchanting. It seemed to pull us forward, guiding our steps through the winding paths and into the forest. At first, the forest felt familiar. We'd played there countless times during the day, climbing trees and chasing each other through the underbrush. But at night, it was different. The shadows seemed deeper, the trees taller, and every rustle of leaves made my heart race. The song, though, it kept us moving. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before, a melody so beautiful it made my chest ache. Kemi and I didn't speak much as we walked. We didn't need to. The song filled the silence between us, and the further we went, the harder it was to think about anything else. After what felt like hours, we came to a clearing. In the center stood a single tree, massive and ancient, with silver leaves that shimmered in the moonlight. The song was coming from the tree, or maybe from the air around it. I couldn't tell. All I knew was that it was louder now and more beautiful than ever. Kemi and I stood there, staring at the tree, our hearts pounding. "This is it," Kemi whispered. "This is where the song comes from." She stepped forward and I followed, though my feet felt heavy. As we got closer, something strange happened. The song changed. It was still beautiful, but now it felt personal. Like it was speaking to me, calling out to something deep inside me that I didn't even know was there. "Ayo," Kemi said, her voice trembling. "Do you hear it? It's saying my name." I nodded, unable to speak. I heard my name too, woven into the melody. It was as if the song knew us, knew everything about us, our hopes, our fears, our secrets. It was overwhelming. Then, out of nowhere, a cold wind swept through the clearing, and the song stopped. The silence was deafening. Kemi and I looked at each other, fear creeping into our eyes. That's when we saw them. Figures emerging from the shadows, tall and thin, with glowing eyes and skin that shimmered like the tree's silver leaves. They didn't look angry, but there was something about them that made my knees go weak. They stared at us, their eyes piercing, and then one of them spoke. Not with words, but with a voice that echoed in my mind. "Why have you come?" it asked. "This place is not for you." I wanted to run, to turn around and sprint back to the village, but I couldn't move. Kemi, however, stepped forward. "We wanted to hear the song," she said, her voice shaking. We wanted to know where it came from. The figure tilted its head as if considering her words. The song is a gift, it said, but it is not meant to be followed. Those who seek it risk losing what they hold most dear. I didn't understand what it meant, but I didn't want to find out. I grabbed Kemi's hand and whispered, "Let's go." To my relief, she didn't argue. We turned and ran, our feet pounding against the forest floor. The song didn't start again, but the silence was just as haunting. By the time we made it back to the village, the sky was beginning to lighten, and the first hints of dawn were creeping over the horizon. We never told anyone what happened that night. Kemi tried to laugh it off, saying it was just a weird dream, but I could see the fear in her eyes. As for me, I never went near that part of the forest again. Even now, years later, I still hear the song sometimes when the moon is full. It's just as beautiful as I remember, but I've learned to appreciate it from afar. Some mysteries, I think, are better left unsolved.